So, there is a lot, a lot, a lot more to all of this than it would seem usually. There are some of us, when we reach a certain state, many different states, we can start bending things around here. After a time, it seems to almost slap back to normal. Reach certain states where things become plastic. And people around you can see it too, and they look at you like, because they ain't seen stuff like that. But if you're the kind of person that kind of stuff happens to, and you've seen it before, and you know. But the people that haven't seen it much, they don't know what to think. People that haven't seen that kind of stuff, they don't have much of a reference point. And so after everything goes back to normal, they just want to think that you're being kind of nuts. But after they've seen it a few times too, then they know there is a lot more to all of this than meets the eye. When you're just starting to see this stuff, people look at you funny, and they don't want to believe what they saw. And so they'll fool you for a minute. They're not trying to. It's just they know a different sort of world. But after a time, they know it. But they don't know what to do with it. They don't know what to do with that information. But it's not their kind of thing that they choose to get into. Now, there was somebody once that said that drugs were unearned access to God. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Really, what that statement is judging. It is curiosity in the affairs of others. Why are they so interested? None of my business. I don't tell you what to do. But I'll tell you what I see. I'll tell you what I do. Not all of it. Because I know not all of it is going to fit your scheme. How can I tell that? By what I feel. But I've seen a lot. Some people, when they see me in these videos, they make a snap judgment. They think they know. All they see is this. They haven't seen much. They don't know. Most people don't know what they call drugs are. But there are many kinds. You cannot say what something is if you don't know. All you see is the angle from which you see it at. Some people judge things like that because they've seen one side of it and they go, ooh, no thanks. So every time they see it pop up, they say, no, I'm not touching that. And they will try to judge others for doing what they do. But they haven't turned that light around. They're looking at it from the wrong angle. they're judging. And that keeps you locked in something that you don't like being in. How can I tell? The results speak for themselves. Are you happy? Do you feel at peace? Do you feel joy, harmony, and happiness? I am at joy. Some people think to bind another is to secure their own freedom. It has never worked like that, ever. You do not slap cuffs on someone without feeling them on your own wrists. And guess what? Ever since I was really little, people looked at me funny. They could tell I don't operate the same way everybody else does. Their world would start bending when I would come around. But they ain't seen that before. And all they knew was to do what their parents did, which is judge. But we have come out of that era. Talking about the ones they call boomers. It was a different time. Things worked different back then. Ever since I was little, people would try to point and laugh and giggle, and they would make bad jokes. They'd say that I was going to do something bad. I don't have blood on my hands. One of them, he would make those jokes every day that he saw me. Every day. And he became a police officer. He's got love in his heart. He's a good guy. But it wasn't nice that he made those jokes. But I don't blame him for it. I do not blame you for the behaviors you internalize from others. I do not judge you. Yes, I may slip from time to time, but that's okay. I make sure to come back to the sphere of divine perfection. I choose to focus on the sphere of divine perfection. I will not sit in judgment, condemnation, or curiosity in the affairs of others. It is not my province to judge another. For I know not, I know not the forces acting on another, nor the conditions. I only know the angle from which I see. Yes, I may slip from time to time, but I do not stay there. I slap back, as it were, to where I want to stay focused. The one that became a police officer, I would never wish that for him. And I'm not certain that I could be friends with someone that is actively a police officer, because it is not my world to touch. I know that is just one realm of activity, and there are many. there are many, many realms of activity. How many? It would appear there are infinite. But we start out, us ones that look like people, it would seem we start out in what we call the world. People keep thinking there is only one Earth. That is a shallow way to think about it. Turns out it's not like that. To me, it seems you cannot even say that there are many Earths. Even that does not seem to make any sense. But from what I have seen, there seems to be infinite realms. But when you start out here, it seems you have to take baby steps. And as you keep walking down these different corridors, as you walk into these different spheres of thought, of imagination, of feeling, of thought feeling, those corridors open and you can keep walking back there. You find certain halls you don't like, you close the door to it. So, a lot of people, for some reason, they think, you want to go inside? I forgot where I was at with that. We'll probably come back around to it. We'll see. So yeah, this fella, he became a police officer. You remember what I said about you cannot slap cuffs on somebody without feeling them on your own wrists, and how he'd make those jokes about me every single day that he saw me. And he became a police officer. Interesting. I had actually gotten into a fight or two with that fella when we were in junior high school. He was one of the few people I ever punched in the face. that almost never ever happened in my life. And there's somebody else I had gotten into a fight with way back in elementary school. And he's a good dude. He's a really good dude. Wonderful love in his heart. I found out just last year he became a police officer. But as far as I know, certainly not in front of me at least, he never said anything ugly about me. But still, like, I feel that even more deeply. I'm like, oh brother, like, it's not my place to judge. It's not my place to judge, but I wouldn't wish that for him. As far as I'm concerned, with all the divine love of my being, I bless and prosper them, not their persons, but their divine presence. Saint Germain said, as an unfailing law, when you bind the freedom of an innocent person, you incorporate into your own experience the same thing, sometimes for 3 or 4 embodiments to come. And it would seem, at least from the images that have shown up for me on the phone, there is a lot of people doing that. And I would not wish that for them either. Saint Germain said, if you continue to sit in judgment, criticism, condemnation, it can keep you trapped in an endless cycle of reincarnation. And I just know I would not like to have to go through anything what I went through getting to this point again, like not knowing who I am and fighting all my life up until I was 33, which is no coincidence to me. I'm not going to say why. But if you've looked into anything having to do with Yahushua, then you know Saint Germain talks about the seamless garment. All I could say is I like this one that I got. And it feels pretty seamless to me. I'll tell you this. After what I've seen, I lost where I was going with that, but I'll say, after everything I've seen, I don't again want to have to go through growing up through all of that and having to go through so much work and suffering to learn who I am again. And I have put away the false pleasure of judging others. It's not fun. And it does always come back to you. That's why judgment is a boomerang. I don't want to do that again. And every time I do, every time I slip, I feel it come back and slap me. Because it ain't my place. It's kind of like digging in somebody's underwear drawer. And then somebody finds you doing that. You get in trouble for it. That's what it's like. I don't want that anymore. Tell you something a little bit wild. Just a little bit. But still, not even close to some of the things I've seen. And whatever you can imagine from the world, it ain't nothing like that, the things I've seen. I say, you know how I know prophecy is bullshit? Because ain't nobody ever said a fucking word about what I've seen. Prophecy is bullshit. It ain't like that. That is just one angle that somebody saw something from. So, all the police know me. And many of them have had to show up to see me on many occasions. Because I had stepped a little too far into certain corridors. And I've heard them say many times, I've never seen anything like that before. So yeah, they saw reality, as it were, bending around me. They could see a little bit into the corridors I was stepping. And sometimes, whenever a police officer would have to show up to check on me, they'd be nervous. Because like they weren't sure what they were going to see. They weren't sure. I was considering not sharing this because of them shooting over there, but if you watch this far into it, I'm sure you feel about it the same way I do, maybe. You know how they say cannabis is a gateway drug? It's not exactly like that. Those things they call drugs, all of them are gateways into other realms. But you always come back here, where you started. But the way our bodies are, they process those things and they get them out of our system, and we come back to normality. But some people, it's none of my business to judge. But it seems, it feels tricky talking about this. I'm not going to say it, but I'll say this. Some people will find enlightenment, as they call it, without ever touching what they call drugs. Some people will find it by touching what they call drugs once or twice or 1,000 times. It would seem some people, when they touch certain corridors, some part of them stays there. Feels okay to say it like that. And they ain't the same as you once knew them ever again. And you feel like they left. You feel like they ain't the same person anymore. But then again, the real question, I guess, with that is, why would they ever feel the need to touch what they call drugs? Maybe what they had there in their vicinity, it was not the life they've been looking for. But a lot of people also keep looking for God out here, all the while they neglect the kingdom of heaven, the queendom of Paradiso, the throne of love, the heart which is God's diamond palace. So we got people looking for God out here, but they're not paying attention to their throne of love. So that's kind of like how people look out here and they will judge, and they'll say, that's not right. We need to stop them from doing that. And then they just stay doing that. And they don't seem happy, do they? I'm interested in anything you may have to say on this. And the more you can say, the better. I do not usually get much feedback from anyone, ever. So if you have thoughts on any of this, I welcome them. And if you would like me not to make a video with your comment, please let me know that as well. I feel like some people don't say anything because they know I'm going to make a video with it. If you would like me not to show your comment, but just use what you have to say to weave something new, just let me know. It's been tricky, very, very tricky, figuring all this out within my being and not having much feedback. So most people are afraid to say anything to me. The people that judge, judgmental, critical people, when they try to judge me and they say something, I say something back, they get what's coming to them. I didn't know this until recently, but apparently that is a normal thing with Capricorns. I'm Capricorn. I did not learn this until this week, that my sun sign is Capricorn. I've always known that one. Rising sign, Capricorn. Moon sign, Leo. I never knew that my moon sign was Leo. But after I found that out, it was like, makes sense. I can almost see and feel what a person is drawing to themselves by the things they say. And when somebody tries to say something nasty to me, I'm like, ooh, I do my best to let them know what they are drawing to themselves, because I can see and feel it somehow. I can't see it with my eyes, it seems like, but I know it. And I'm like, nobody else is going to let them know what they're doing. And so I do my best to show them as much mercy as possible, as much compassion as I can, and let them know in any way that I can that what they're touching and what they've been touching is going to poke them bad. And so sometimes I will, this doesn't sound like the right way to say it, but sometimes I will really zap them, wake them up. Hi. And sorry if that startled you. So it seems like it's automatic. And sometimes I will go back to him immediately after and I will say, hey, sorry about being intense. That's enough of this for now. Some people put up a loud, nasty bark as a protective screen to shield themselves from others, to put up the facade that they are strong when they feel weak and scared. But it's a catch-22, and the things they say bounce off the inside of their shield right back at them. And it's like it keeps them locked, and they keep out everybody. There are people that showed up that have said things to me, and I could have been their friend. But they couldn't see what a good friend I could have been for them. And they're just trapped in this bubble. They're trapped in a bubble. And they keep themselves locked away by their own hand. Those people, they can only see so far. And they spin in that feedback loop. A lot of them, because they are closed off, they have not the strength to apologize when they see they have gone too far, because they can't see. They can't see how far they go. That's what it seems like. But the kind, you know as well as I do, have seen much unkindness. But we are strong enough to apologize. God bless your divine presence.